What is going on, guys? It is WrestleLamia here, back with some wrestling news. And as always, there's lots of news to report after SmackDown, and with Clash of Champions 2019 right around the corner. Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at the latest wrestling news, including the real reason behind Kevin Owens' firing, new plans for The Fiend, NXT stars' thoughts on call-ups to the main roster, and much more. Let's get straight into the first news, as who cares about the main roster? Now, a recent article suggests that some NXT superstars don't see a main roster call-up as that big a deal. In an interview with the Sporting News, former main roster star Mojo Rawley, who's been working on NXT of late, had this to say. "They are as unique as it comes, and that's why they've been upgraded to this platform," said Rawley. Then NXT was essentially a stepping stone, an opportunity to showcase what you've got, with the only goal to get to the main roster. Now there's guys on NXT that have no desire to move to Raw or SmackDown, because a lot of people don't consider moving to Raw or SmackDown a vertical move anymore. A lot of people now consider it a horizontal move. Considering the many NXT stars who have struggled to make a splash on the main roster, it's no surprise some NXT performers feel this way. Whether it's recent call-ups such as EC3 or past ones such as Bobby Roode and Sami Zayn, the main roster can prove that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Our next story is NXT A Third Brand. With NXT getting moved from the WWE Network to the USA Network, fans are wondering whether or not NXT is going to be an official third brand standing side by side with Raw and SmackDown Live. At this point, everything we know is that the WWE has made no official word confirming it. However, it's difficult to ignore all the things that make it look like a third brand, as number 1, its move from the WWE Network to USA, number 2, the rumoured transfer of Raw and SmackDown stars to the yellow brand, and number 3, a reported pay rise for NXT stars. Obviously, the move to USA is the biggest indicator, as it means the WWE is getting paid TV rights to air it. Consider this quote from Vince McMahon after the WWE announced NXT would be joining Raw on the USA Network. The move to USA Network provides an opportunity to deepen our relationship with NBC Universal and further build the NXT brand. Over the long term, our goal is to develop a following that can be monetized to the same level as our flagship programs Raw and SmackDown. A recent Yahoo Sports interview with Triple H and Shawn Michaels shows how big the move is for NXT and the challenges they're facing. With live TV on a network like USA, you have a lot of things that are very specific timing of commercial breaks that we don't control, hitting time cues, especially going off the air. There's an art form to that. We try and train for that all of the time, but there's no net now. We'll try to get them there. It's going to be a challenge. The live aspect takes away the ability to go a little bit over or under on your times in matches. Shawn Michaels thinks NXT can stand on its own, another sign the yellow brand will be on equal footing with Raw and SmackDown. I think the NXT roster can go with anybody in the entire world. There are a bunch of unbelievable talents. The wrestling business as a whole is in a phenomenal time. There's an abundance of talent out there, and I think the world is going to get to see it. I'm sure everybody likes to win, but everybody who has a brain can see that this is great for the business. We want to show what we've felt for quite some time, and that's we have the best talent in the world. So while the WWE may claim NXT is still its developmental brand, it's certainly looking like it'll be a third brand. Next up, there were AEW Chant at Madison Square Garden. A few people would argue that the 10th September SmackDown should have been titled Let Down Live, with very little to get excited about other than the Roman Reigns vs Erick Rowan brawl. Incredibly, the WWE chose to unleash the Fiend, but in a dark match rather than the main show. Whatever happened backstage, the fans at Madison Square Garden seemed to show their dissatisfaction, loudly chanting AEW. Of course, wrestling fans are going to be wrestling fans, and AEW chants are the least of its worries given Raw's ratings this week and the ticket sales for SmackDown at Madison Square Garden. Our next story, a fiendish foe. While it looks like the Fiend is setting his sights on Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, there's talk that the WWE is also planning a program between Bray Wyatt's hellish half and the Phenom The Undertaker. This wouldn't be the first time the two men have clashed, with them meeting mano a mano at WrestleMania and during the short feud between the Brothers of Destruction and the Wyatt family. With The Undertaker stating he's got a few matches left, an Undertaker vs Fiend match, or feud, would be huge. Last night's appearance by The Undertaker offered a spot for The Fiend to attack him, but just as the WWE chose not to have The Fiend attack Stone Cold Steve Austin on Raw, don't think this precludes a showdown in the future. Pro Sports Extra's Brad Shepard commented on his Oh You Didn't Know podcast that why didn't they have The Fiend attacking The Undertaker on SmackDown Live? They kept them separate so they could continue the build. Right now the plan is for the confrontation to take place on the inaugural SmackDown on Fox. Again, you know how this works. Vince McMahon can get a wild hair up his ass and decide to change it tomorrow or literally in 10 seconds. But that is definitely what was discussed as of today. Ringside News astutely pointed out, October 4th will be the next time The Undertaker is scheduled to make a return during SmackDown's Fox debut. Let's just see if Taker ends up eating a mandible claw or Sister Abigail. It is also important to remember that since Hell in a Cell is going down on October 6th, that means the big SmackDown debut on Fox will also be a go-home show. Bray Wyatt could end up in a Universal title match on WWE's October 6th pay-per-view. That would definitely make it even more interesting to see him appear on Fox to take out the Dead Man days before a title opportunity. This is definitely one program the WWE shouldn't let slip through its fingers, as it would be a classic case of leaving money on the table. Our next story, the King of the Ring Finals moving to Monday. Although the WWE has been hyping the King of the Ring Finals match as taking place at Clash of Champions, last night's SmackDown ran a blurb that Chad Gable would face Baron Corbin at Raw for the King of the Ring crown. While the WWE's production team runs a tight ship, mistakes happen, which means that SmackDown's announcement might be a mistake. However, a quick review of the WWE's Clash of Champions preview page at WWE.com shows no mention of the King of the Ring Finals, and both PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online are reporting the finals being moved to Raw. But why the move? Well, moving the match to Clash of Champions to Raw might be a way of building interest in this Monday's show, especially considering how poorly Raw fared in the ratings last week against Monday Night Football. But it also could be down to the number of matches that are actually on the card. Currently there are 11, and the King of the Ring Finals could make it 12, perhaps too much, hence why they've moved it over to Raw. But in actuality, people aren't going to watch Clash of Champions to see Baron Corbin face Chad Gable. But then again, how many people are going to tune into Raw for this match either? As we noted in our SmackDown recap, the WWE has done a terrible job building up Chad Gable as a competitor in the King of the Ring tournament, but this seems to be the only way he'll ever get cheered. Next up, who was the local talent on SmackDown last night? The smoothie drinking team of Heavy Machinery made small work of their opponents last night, who were named as Johnny Silver and Alex Keaton. But in fact, they were actually John Silver and Alex Reynolds. John Silver being the current CZW World Heavyweight Champion, and has had 2 matches in the past as he's appeared on NXT, and also No Way Out in 2012 as Rob Grimes, where he teamed with Dan Delaney against Ryback. Alex Reynolds is a former NYWC Heavyweight Champion, and has appeared in WWE before, facing Akira Tozawa on 205 Live. He also competed in a dark match against Kane, and his first WWE match was in 2009 against Vance Archer on ECW. And our last story of today, the real reason behind Kevin Owens being fired. The 10th September SmackDown saw Shane McMahon fire Kevin Owens after KO refused to abuse his role as special guest referee for the Shane vs Chad Gable King of the Ring semi-final match. Fans wondering what might happen to the WWE's working class hero got a clue when Owens tweeted 14, 24, 20. It didn't take fans long to begin speculating what those numbers could mean, quickly deducting that each number could represent a letter in the alphabet, and if so, 14, 24 and 20 equals NXT, N being the 14th letter of the alphabet and so on. This could be a big boost for NXT as the show can use some star power going up against AEW this fall. As we've noted in earlier videos, the WWE is apparently going to put main roster stars on NXT in order to attract fans to the product. Owens' firing from SmackDown may open the door to him appearing on NXT, but it also creates a problem for the Blue brand as it's now missing one of its top babyfaces. While SmackDown still has Roman Reigns and Kofi Kingston as its 2 top stars, Owens was getting over huge as a babyface, and there's no telling how far he could have gone. With SmackDown moving to Fox, one might think the WWE would want to pack their show with some top stars. Obviously, Owens' move to NXT hasn't been confirmed, and the WWE has yet to conduct its draft, leaving all sorts of possibilities. With any luck, one of them will be Shane McMahon's departure from WWE television, but don't count on it. There you have it guys, your latest wrestling news for today. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.